Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you today on this fine day. We're talking about some WWE action because basically that's the only thing going on in the world right now today. But I just been racking my brain about what they're doing. You know, why you would hotshot John Cena coming back and challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship at Hell in the Cell, going up against Alberto Del Rio. It hasn't really been said if Cena's going to be making any appearances or if this is just a dry run where basically everybody knows he's going to be at the pay-per-view and we're going to see what his value is, if people are going to order it just to make sure they see him wrestle, or if he's going to have to come back and he's going to have to be the guy that really is selling this show, even though the main event's going to be Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton for the 100th time with the whole Big Show, Triple H, Stephanie sideline show going on. But my whole thing is that I'd bet the farm, I'd bet the house, I'd bet my shoes that John Cena's going to be winning the championship. It's just kind of weird because everything that the World Heavyweight Championship means, it'd be sort of like Hulk Hogan showing up to some event and doing a comeback to WWF back in the day and winning the Intercontinental title. It just doesn't make sense why they would put Cena in this spot. I honestly thought that when Alberto Del Rio, when he turned face and he beat Big Show, what was it, last December, I think that was, he solidified himself as a World Heavyweight Champion, as a good guy. I thought that they were gonna make that title mean something again. Alberto Del Rio is a damn good wrestler. The only thing that sucks is that people don't really like to see him wrestle because they haven't really given us something that's been behind it. I know that him and Rey Mysterio, they had a bitter feud at the end of, 2010, around TLC, and that just sort of ended out of the middle of nowhere. But I think that was the last time that Del Rio really had matches that people really cared about. Del Rio's had feuds with CM Punk, with John Cena, but everybody's just sort of looked at him like there's nothing behind it. I know that they're going out and they're fighting for the championship, but there's no real story to really get behind. And what the championship means is, at that time, everybody knew that it was going to be coming down to Cena versus Rock, and it didn't matter who had the title. That was going to be the main storyline that was going on, and the title was going to take second run to anything else that was going on out there. In my opinion, I know that a lot of people have had this rumored since 2010 as well, around WrestleMania 27, they were going to, unify all the titles. And I'm not a big fan for saying unify all the titles because at that time, Raw and SmackDown were still divided. But, these days, we haven't had a draft and God knows however. And, being a Raw or a SmackDown guy doesn't really mean shit anything anymore. Everybody's on every show. And I understand the meaning why you did it. If you go back to right around the time Edge left, everybody can remember the pictures of what SmackDown shows were basically looking like. And I heard the SmackDown show that they had, they taped on Tuesday. I can't remember where they were, but that was one of the worst crowds they've ever pulled in a long, long time. And I understand that that's why they started moving guys around, making sure that guys like Sheamus and Randy Orton were on Monday Night Raw. They were calling it the Raw Super Show or whatever the hell they were calling it. Triple H made it his new initiative that, the SmackDown guys are going to be on Raw. But it took a long while for Raw to give SmackDown the rub and put the guys back over there. But they've started moving guys around everywhere, so it doesn't really matter where you are. But I think anytime that you're on the SmackDown show and it's not sort of like a one-time deal, they've put Punk on there to have a match against somebody and make sure that, SmackDown numbers keep up and, make it a show that you want to go out of your way to see. If you're looked at as a guy that is on that roster, you're looked at as sort of like the B team, nobody wants to be on the NWO B team, hang out with Kurt Hennig, Stevie Ray, Virgil, and all those other dudes. You want to be on Raw. That's where the money's at. If you're on those Raw house shows, as long as the names like John Cena or CM Punk's on there, you know that they're gonna have a sellout. You know that your bonus ticket money that's going to be coming in is going to be worth more than going to these sparse B towns and not stirring things up. And I thought that if they didn't unify the titles, if you went to a show and they didn't have your WWE champion there, WWE doesn't normally have a big enough feud in order to, have two house shows on the same day. If you stack it over here and you have your Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton thing over here, what's going to be in this other town right now when you don't have a guy like John Cena in order to support it? You're going to have towns going, people showing up and being unhappy because you don't do it. But I mean, if you have a World Heavyweight Championship match and it's Dolph Ziggler against Sheamus, just, I don't even know what, those guys don't even make sense. One guy's hurt, sitting at home, and another guy, he probably couldn't get a World Heavyweight Championship match to save his life right now for some stupid reason. It's like they understand that Ziggler's one of the most popular guys on the roster, but they don't want to push him because of something stupid they said in an interview that was never even really released, and nobody knows what he said. Just everybody knows that he said something, and he's being held back for it. It's retarded. But I think when the money comes down and the chips fall down, I honestly think what they're going to do is they're going to unify the titles. I think the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be taking a back seat. I think that it'll be going back on the DL for a while. It could be gone forever, but knowing WWE, they could bring it back in a matter of years. You can remember the Intercontinental title died out when they, was that back in like 2002, 2003. They went through and they unified all the titles one by one until they just got down to having just one belt because they wanted everything to be revolving around one thing. That way, wow, that's a shitload of food. But if everything was revolving around this, this one title, it would, make everything mean so much more in the long run. So I can really see what it comes down to is, Daniel Bryan being your WWE champion, John Cena's your World Heavyweight champion. Everybody's sort of scratching their head saying, what the fuck's going on? Because, Cena's not going over to SmackDown, and if he does, it's not going to be an every week thing. Then you're going to be making it look like what happened with the draft in 2005 when Batista and John Cena were your champions, and they were both on Monday Night Raw, and they were trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do on SmackDown to make it a believable show. And I don't know what the long run was, but they started that angle where they had the mystery, belt that Teddy Long was carrying around with a cloth over it, and JBL was competing, and then it came down to a four-way, and then Batista got drafted to SmackDown, and I don't even really remember what happened to the four-way. I can't even remember what pay-per-view that was now that I think about it, but I think that they had something planned, and I think they just sort of scrapped it and put Batista over there, hoping that they would be for the best, and I think it really did work out. Batista sort of made that his own show, and he didn't have to play second fiddle to anybody like Triple H, and guys like him and Rey Mysterio really, transformed SmackDown and made it into a must-watch show that you had to check out every week. It didn't seem like it was going to work, but in the long run, honestly, it really, really did. So I think that, Bryan shows up, Cena walks down with his title, and, Cena's going to say, hey, you're a damn good wrestler, you beat me at SummerSlam, I had to go out with my injury, I'm not going to use it as an excuse, you were the best wrestler you can't really call him the best wrestler in the world, because I guess they've already figured that out with him and CM Punk, but you were the best that day. But overall, I think Cena's got to say, we're going to find out who the better champion is, and then they do it, one-on-one. That would be Survivor Series. That'd be one hell of a show that I think a lot of people would want to see. SummerSlam did, pretty big numbers for a John Cena versus Daniel Bryan match, and a card of not much that anybody else really cared about. You had CM Punk and Brock Lesnar on that show, but I don't think that was a feud that a whole bunch of people really got behind and knew that was a match they're going to want to see. The matches that Brock's had, besides for the match against John Cena at Extreme Rules, I think everything else has been, a match, but it hasn't been what the people have been expecting. They really wanted to see Brock, go into the ring and just tear people's arms off, tear somebody's arm off and just beat them with their own arm. And he's been going in there and having these, real, I guess you could say, wrestling matches, and people want to see blood. People want to see carnage. That match against John Cena was a great match, but it's going to be hard for him to top. Coming back and doing this. But I don't know. Well, you guys tell me what you guys think. What do you guys see? Do you guys see Cena beating Del Rio and them actually having a feud over the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that Cena beats Del Rio and Del Rio goes back to the mid card, and he can find somebody to roll around with there. I've heard rumors that he's going to have matches against Mysterio when he returns, but Mysterio is at the point now I'm not even going to believe he's coming back until we actually see him. That's just me, but we'll have to see. This is all coming down in my eyes. Survivor Series 2013, live from Boston. It's going to be a big one. Peace out, guys.